Divine rise, grand rise, blessed be to your day, may it be everything you require to create everything that you desire. I had a moment today, and I'm gonna share that moment with you guys. Last night before I set myself up to go to sleep, hit that dream realm, I made a post last night, and I spoke on me doing my 40, me hitting my 40 push-ups before I hit the bed, me hitting the 40 push-ups before I hit the bed, me allowing my meditation music to choose me, allowing my meditation music to choose me sitting there setting my tone, setting my algorithms in my space. This is what I did as I went to bed. When I went to the gym today was the first day I was in the gym and I didn't think. Like, outside of the regular routine I have set up for myself for each day to knock out my workout, I didn't think. So since I didn't think, I could concentrate on my breathing. Since I wasn't thinking, I could expand myself in doing more in my workouts. Like, for example, I was on the row machine, the back row machine, the weighted joint, and I'm sitting there doing my pulls, and I'm like, in between my reps, I'm sitting there like, why can't I do some crunches? Like, I could do some crunches real quick. And I just put my feet down and I held myself up and I did about 20 crunches between each rep. This is going to be your key. This is the key in your growth. You got to keep going. Truth, indeed, you have to keep going. It's time to stop holding on to yourself. It's time to stop holding on or holding yourself back. It's time to get out of that passenger seat. Get out of the passenger seat of your thoughts. Get out of the passenger seat of the traumatic events. Get out of the passenger seat and stop allowing your emotions to drive. It's time for you to actually keep going and make that shit dance. It's time for you to make this shit dance. A lot of times we put ourselves into this space where we have a thought and not understanding. We can say, "Oh, our thoughts are powerful," and we create things. But what I've noticed a lot of times, and I talked about it in the lecture on Friday, it's up now, Child's Play, very, 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 very get at you type lecture. But I noticed that we wait for things outside of us. We use things outside of ourselves to anchor us, to be our anchor, instead of allowing our own very thought to be the anchor to our shifting. We look for things to be our anchors outside of us. We allow things to be our anchors outside of us. While I'm sitting here playing with you guys, I'm going to share this. We allow things outside of us to be that anchor so we don't have to take the responsibility. That's usually what it is. I noticed a lot of times for myself in earlier healing work, in my earlier shadow work, my earlier healing, my earlier builds, I always had something outside of me that was an anchor. I always had my job as an anchor to be like, I could always say, well, I can't do this because I got to go to work. And then when I didn't have to go to work, in reality, it was like, I wasn't going to do anything anyway. So the thought of me not wanting to do anything other than stay to myself, get myself charged, get myself right, that should have been my anchor. That should have been my anchor of thought. A lot of times we put ourselves into a position where we're going to say, oh, it's because of this that I have to do this, all to maintain. Yeah, that's the key. It's for you, it's we put ourselves in this space with our mindset where we're waiting for something to pop up. We wait for something to come into that position. And I think about it like this. with all of the mantras that I set, with all of the spell work that I do, all of the mantras, everything that I'm programming into my subconscious, that had the key for me to that intention to rise, the key to build your intent, the key to build yourself into that space, the key to take yourself to that next level is removing the external anchors. Because the anchors externally are simply crutches. There's something to get you by. You had your job to get you by. But if you don't have your job, the moment that you, with or without the job, you still have bills that you have to pay. So is it the job's fault, or is it on you? With or without you, with or without whoever's in your space, you still got to get things. You got to keep your space clean. You got to keep your space organized. You got to keep yourself in that. You got to keep yourself being right, regardless. There should be nothing outside of you but this reflection of your growth. When we look at ourselves from the internal aspect and we keep moving forward, you keep going into that growth. You keep building yourself up. What you're going to notice is you're not allowing yourself to be in this space with yourself where you're like, well, they said something, or this did something, or this did something. It's doing what it's supposed to do. Whatever it's coming up to show you, that's what it's supposed to show you. This isn't meant for everybody else. Your growth is not meant for everybody else. We always get stuck into everybody. We always get stuck in the until. I can't do this until, or I can't do this until, or I would love to do that, but I can't do this until this. And then we create in our minds these arguments that we agree to. Go read the 4 agreements. We put into our minds these arguments for ourselves in order to set the pace. So we can't even accept responses because we expect it to be something else. We can't even accept the response. I remember being in a long time for myself where it was like, I could ask a question and based on my own argument in my own head, I'll be like, well, it didn't mean this, or it didn't mean that, or maybe it meant this, or maybe they meant to say this. It wasn't until I became direct with myself that I could get through and navigate better in the space of when I speak. I could easily right now, and I just think about, I always assess myself. I'm assessing myself every single day. So I take these moments of time to assess myself, and it's like, I don't like comfort anymore. I don't like comfort. I don't like to be in comfort. I like to stay in that chaotic sense. I like to become the chaos. I like to make that impactful change. I like the challenge. I like where I'm at. I love where I'm at. The love for where I'm at right now is not based on anything externally. It's not based on anything externally. Therefore, if I set the intention for something new to come into my space, I'm there with open arms. I'm not holding on to, I'm thirsty. I wish I could get some more to drink. And I'm sitting there holding on to a bottle of water and being like, I want something else to drink. I got to let this go before I can actually go get something else to drink. I got to let that go before I can actually start bringing something else in. A lot of times for us, we put ourselves in this space where we can't sit still because we want to do all these things. We want to be great, and it's okay to want to be great. But the key to being great is becoming great. The key to being great is becoming great. The key to having time is becoming time. That means the first things I got to remove are the things that are not valuable to the time that I want to become. In order for me to tap into my greatness, I got to remove and allow the things to fall away that are not in my frequency for me to become great. I got to let it go. A lot of times we do this anchoring thing. A lot of these times we do this anchoring aspect in our lives where we got this I'll just say this is my anchor. And I got this anchor sitting over here on this cliff. And I'm like, okay, cool, I'm about to jump. But it's easy for me to jump when I know I have an anchor. When I know I got something that can pull me back, I know it's easy to jump. But what if that's not there? Will you still take the jump? If you know greatness is outside of is outside of your comfort zone, and I'm holding on to this right here, and I got this anchor right here, I know it's something that I got to cut loose in order for me to embrace my greatness, to embrace my growth, to embrace the challenges that are going to take me further and further. I cannot become efficiency until I remove the until out of my vocabulary. I cannot become the most efficient and the most productive until I take the try out of my vocabulary. There were so many words that I had to take out of my vocabulary. Fuck the words and spells thought process. Everybody like words and spells, and they put you in spells. You're in this space right now to learn how to master these spells. You in this space to learn how to master this word. But if I know that it's a spell and once I master it, then I can do what I need to do. So if I remove trying out of my vocabulary, I remove until out of my vocabulary, I remove doubt out of my vocabulary, I remove no in the sense of not creating a boundary, but I learn how to use now in creating my boundaries. Now that until, that trying, that's out of my vocabulary. So now when I say no, and now when I say yes, it's based on me setting my boundary. It's based on me moving forward. They're going to say regardless. They're going to say it regardless. They're going to say, act, move regardless the way that they're going to move. That's what they're supposed to do. Your key, your factor, our key is learning how to move and transmute with it. There's nothing that can stop you at this moment, period. There's nothing that can stop you at this moment. The only thing that's going to hold you up is you. And it's going to come in the form of those unresolved emotions. It's going to come up into you in the form of them unresolved emotions that became thoughts, that became physical aspects within your life. Those anchors that you haven't learned why they're there for. You want to keep running? Keep running. You want to keep running? Keep running. I guarantee you're never going to get to where you want to get to, because if you just keep running. You can just keep running if you want. Keep running, keep moving, keep doing what you're going on the run. I'm just going to keep doing this. Maybe it's time for me to do this. Maybe it's time for me to do this. As long as you keep creating these thought forms, they have to exist. Every time that you set that tone for yourself and like, I want to do this, that is something that you have to honor. That is something that you have to honor. Honoring your thought. Setting that goal, setting that thought, setting that tone, setting that goal, setting yourself up for success is going to require you being ultra honest with yourself. It's going to require you being ultra honest with yourself. It's going to require you being extra open with yourself. Going to that next level is going to require you to go into a level of discomfort that most are not ready for. But guess what? It's not for them. It's not for them to, I'm going to go. No, it's not for them. They ain't meant to take this trip with you. This is a one passenger plane and you the pilot. One passenger plane and you the pilot. This is a one passenger plane, you the pilot. It's a one passenger car, you the driver. So how are you going to embrace your day? It don't have to be, and you don't, a lot of times when we trying to do this, we get stuck in the trend that I got to go do it that way. Don't look at everybody else, what others are doing. Learn from it in the aspect as an inspiration. How is it inspiring you? Don't get stuck on, oh my God, he can do 100. I'll give you an example. I could easily go to the gym and become disheartened every single time because there's motherfuckers that been in the gym way before me, they leave after me. I can get disheartened as hell. This nigga's in there that's like just lifting all types of shit. I can get disheartened. Or I can use that energy in my space to like, all right, cool, let me start my path. Let me start mine. I didn't start with, as now I'll say 3 months ago, we'll say 3 months ago, I didn't start with 30 push-ups every day. It was more like 15 stop, or 20 at first. But when I got to that 40 mark last night, when I got to that 40 mark, I was like, nigga, I need to start timing myself. Because I did 40 push-ups. I don't even know how long it took me to do it. I knew it was less than a minute. But that's how you're going to have to start. It don't matter when you start. It don't matter what you start with or how you start with it. All it matters is that you're starting right now. Because that's what's going to lead you to what you need to lead to. A lot of us put ourselves into that space where we're like, we want to start and then we're expecting a result. Fuck the result. You already have that set in your mind where you want to be. And it's going to become clearer as you keep going forward. The necessary aspect for you to move forward is understanding that path of you moving forward. That path of you coming into your greatness. And everything that has to be removed for you to see that clear place. See that clear space. But you're going to have to start. You're going to have to start. If you can't do 15 minutes of meditation, try an hour first. I've said this before. Try an hour first. If you have the feeling, because this is honoring your thought. If you think that you need to meditate, sit your ass down and meditate. If you think therefore you become. If you think that it's time for you to actually start working out, while you're inside of your space, think of something simple that you got to do. You can do a couple of push-ups. You can do a couple of sit-ups. You can do some jumping jacks. You can do a couple of squats. You can do 4 squats a day. That's you, not everybody else. See, because this is going to break that anchoring effect. You're going to sit there in your house, because I've had you're going to sit there in your crib and be like, whew, I did 10 squats. And then you're going to text somebody and be like, girl, I finished doing 10 squats. Girl, I'm up to about 30. Girl, how long you been doing them? Instead of you sitting there saying how long you been doing them, be like, damn, when did you start? I'm in the right space. Start seeing it and bring it into your favor. And this is going to help you navigate through these spaces. A lot of times we depend on something outside of us to be doing better than us so we can live vicariously through it. Therefore, you always going to be in this invisible competition. You're always going to be in that state of invisible competition with somebody because they're doing something different. Because you're not accepting the challenge. You're not accepting that challenge. There's nothing left behind you. There's nothing left back there. There's nothing left behind you. There's nothing there except for comfort, stagnance, unresolved emotions, and everything else. So if you start going forward, that what is needed for you to deal with is going to show up anyway. So why do I want to keep looking at it, making sure it don't move? Because that's what a lot of us do. We sit there and turn around, look back at things to make sure they don't move. And in our physical environment, we do the same thing with the things around us. We always think that we're going to put it in a position to where it's not going to move. And then it gives us a false sense of, oh, we're needed. See, I'm needed over there. That's why I got to stay here, because I'm needed. You keep looking at it. Of course you're going to be needed. It's going to be whatever you want it to be. It's going to be whatever you want it to be. It's going to be whatever you desire. It's going to be whatever your heart desires. It's going to give you the exact effect that you want. But when you going to give that effect to you? When you going to give that honesty to you? When you going to give that growth to you? When you going to rise for you? When you going to keep it moving? When you going to make this shit dance for yourself? When you going to make it dance? When you going to set the tone? When you going to set the rhythm? That's all on you. And that reminds me of the aspects of This week's podcast, we get into vibrations, we get into vibes and the chemical romance. A lot of times we think about vibrations. Vibrations set the tone to how I enter into a space. But the chemistry is how I build within that space. A lot of us get confused when we have the aspect, we think just because we vibe on a certain space, we're vibing at a certain space, I gotta connect and bond with everything inside of that space. No. Your vibration in a certain space with yourself it's sometimes just to learn. You may get that vibe where you don't want to deal with something or you don't feel right, but you have to still, if you keep getting the same vibe, it means it's time for you to learn something in that space. Not just necessarily push it away. And I'm not talking about like if it's a bad vibe, it's a negative vibe, or the energies, it's not really good for you, it's not real conducive. If you're coming into your work, whenever you have that vibration, you are your vibe. You are your vibration. Everything outside of you is going to be pulsating at that same wavelength. So if your vibration is still in grief, you still got residue of grief, you still got residue of shame, you still got residue of heartache, you still got all these residues on your heart. Everything that's going to come into your space is going to match that to teach you something. It doesn't mean that you got to chemically combine with it. It means there's something time for you to learn something in that space. Instead of that improper behavior, that imbalanced behavior you keep going through, that this parasitic functions or parasitic spaces you keep creating, and much, much more. But we don't get into that on the God Hour Podcast. God Hour Podcast every Tuesday, 6 a.m. We dropped the God Hour Podcast out there. Available on Spotify, iTunes, Breaker, Alexa, Google Podcasts, wherever podcasts are at, except for Tidal. But it's okay. We're working on that. But I want you to be the best and I want you to be great. I desire you to be the best and I desire you to be great. I am discomfort. I am discomfort. I am direct discomfort. I come from a place of transformation. When I speak from a place of transformation. I will never give you what I am not first given to. I will never give you the insight that I'm not first given to myself, ever. When you see people doing that, it's like they gotta anchor it to something. I'm not trying to anchor you to anything. It's always your choice. It's always been your choice. It's always been your goal. It's always been your game. How are you about to play it? It's always been your script. How are you going to rewrite it? It's always been your movie. How you going to play? Who you going to play in the movie? You can play DMX in every movie and say a prayer and go kill some shit. Or you can be whoever. This is your movie. This is your movie. I desire you to be the best. GodCallAlchemistLLC.com, or you hit me in the inbox from everything from readings, consultations, so we can get your shadow work done, your shadow therapy knocked out. We can get your inner child and adolescent healing done, and we can get you to that level that you desire to be. I love you. Take this. Take it. Become the best. Become the best. The best has no limitations. The best has no limitations. The best is outside of doubt. So when you feeling doubt, that means you got some digging to do. When you feeling a little insecure, that means you got some digging to do. When you feeling these things, that means you got some things you got to work on. And it's okay. I got you 3 things that we gonna close out with. Be gentle with yourself. Be gentle with yourself. Be gentle in your learning. Be open and gentle. That means becoming open to your learning. I want you to be fierce in execution. That means the moment that you have the thought, honor it with the response of learning to become vulnerable to the thought. And the last part, be fucking great. That's 3 keys. I want you to be gentle with yourself. Be gentle with becoming open to yourself. Be fierce in your execution. Be fierce in your execution. Be fierce in the execution. When you have the thought, every time you feel like you're about to say, oh, well, I'm going to try to be better, say, no, I'm going to be better. Because if you say, I'll try to be better, then you're going to always have the reason to try to be better. I want you to be better. You want to be better. You want to be great. You want to be the best. This is what you're going to have to do. And if you need some triggers to be hit, last 2 lectures that I did, Child's Play last week and Trigger Killer was the week before that. GottaCoAlchemistLLC.com. Gottaco Alchemist, the YouTube channel. Become better. You are better. You are the best. I love you. We love us. Ashe.